Good evening. Welcome to Primetime News on TV1. This is Zeenat Musafir. Let's take a look at today's headlines.
MP Susil Premajayantha speaks of a time bomb in the government.
කාලේ බෝම්බේ පාත්තු කරන අර්ජුන මහින්දන් සිංගප්පූරුවේ ඉඳන් ලංකාවට ගෙනාවේ කවුද? රැක්කේ කවුද? උපදෙස් දුන්නේ කවුද?
Dayagamage certificate of standard on Sri Lanka.
අපිට කියන්නට පුළුවන් ලෝකේ හොඳම ජංගීය නිෂ්පාදනය කරන්නේ ලංකාවේ කියලා.
Who are the politicians who added 50 to 750 rupees and said the total was 1000 rupees? Farmers voice out their grievances.
අධිවේගී මාර්ග ප්‍රශ්නේ වාරි මාර්ග ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ දැන්. දැන් අපිට තියෙනවා ආහාර මාර්ග ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ දැන්. ආහාර මාර්ගයට කියලා වෙලා තියෙනවා.
St. Thomas's College beat Royal College by 7 wickets to clinch the 140th Battle of the Blues after 12 years.
St. Thomas's College defeated Royal College by 7 wickets to clinch the 140th Battle of the Blues after 12 long years and took home the Right Honourable D.S. Senanayake Memorial Shield to Mount Lavinia.
Opening the batting at SSC, Royal's first innings was limited to 158 runs. In reply, St. Thomas's were all out for 296 runs in 39 overs, with Umayanga Suarez and Kalana Pereira scoring 62 runs each. Trailing 138 runs, Royal in their second essay posted 259 runs, with Pasandu Surya Bandara making a valiant effort to save the Royalists by scoring a valuable 67 runs. Shalin Demel of St. Thomas's College went into history as he took 7 catches in the match and broke the record set by Royalist C.T. Wanghuizel in 1920 to become the player to take the highest number of catches in a Battle of the Blues encounter. For Royal, Kamil Mishara scored 34 runs and Ahan Sachintha added 26 runs in the second innings. Sri Lanka under-19 cap Kalana Pereira had a match bag of 9 wickets. Chasing a victorious target of 122, St. Thomas's reached the target wasting only 20 overs, with Shalin Demel scoring a brilliant 67 to pave the path to a Thomian victory and take home the prestigious D.S. Senanayake Memorial Shield. Sri Lanka under-19 prodigy Kalana Pereira, who excelled with both bat and ball, was awarded as man of the match. St. Thomas's last win was way back in 2007 under the captaincy of Ashan Piris.
In other local news, the second reading of the budget for 2019 took place for the 4th consecutive day. The following are views that were expressed in Parliament today.
Our finance minister is very creative. Projects proposed through the 2019 budget has been given various names. One such project is named Sihina Mahaliga. I think this name suits the complete budget and not just the projects. In 2018, the government expected a total state revenue of 2015 billion rupees, but they only generated 1771 billion rupees, which means that there is a deficit of 244 billion rupees. Why isn't the Kandy Expressway not yet completed? When the construction activities were underway, they awarded the contract to another group. The Kandy Expressway was the main diamond in your crown. However, you were not given the opportunity to wear it. You have been assigned to print card packs for this purpose. But we actually looked into it. All those who are part of this are similar to donkeys. Decisions regarding the LNG power plant is yet to be made. It has been 4 years and we are still struggling to construct that one power plant in our country.
With the garment industry commenced in Sri Lanka during President Premadas's tenure, what did the opposition say? They said undergarments were being manufactured for foreigners. However, at present 43% of export income is generated from the garment industry. We can also say the best undergarments are manufactured in our country, and even the richest women in the world were the ones that are manufactured in Sri Lanka.
මුළු ලෝකේ කෝටිපති කාන්තාව ඔක්කොම අඳින්නේ ලංකාවේ නිෂ්පාදනය කරන ජංගි කියලා ඉවරෙලත් අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන්.
මංගල මගේ මිත්‍රයා ප්‍රකාශ කරා ගල් අරක්කු මිල වැඩි කරන්නේ නැහැ කිය.
My friend Mangala Samarveera said that the price of locally manufactured alcohol will not be increased. However, the price of this alcohol has been increased by 70 rupees yesterday. Even though locally manufactured alcohol is not taxed on a local platform, the tax on ethanol was increased from 800 rupees to 1000 rupees, and therefore I state that the price of locally manufactured alcohol has been increased, and the statement made by Minister Samarveera is completely false. To date, 3000 licenses have been issued. 1002 of them are bar licenses. 400 out of the 1200 have been purchased by 3 businessmen. Among these 3 businessmen is Aloysius, who has purchased the license through W.M. Mendes and Company Limited. Honorable Speaker, 80% of the alcohol sold through 400 companies are sold evading tax payments. This tax evasion causes a loss of approximately 50 billion rupees. Recently, 10,000 litres of ethanol was seized in the north. However, the Deputy Commissioner of Excise Duty in the north forced the STF to release the seized ethanol. Recently, another 35 barrels of smuggled ethanol was seized in Piliyandala. However, when the ethanol was produced before courts, it was identified as moonshine. The Commissioner of Excise Duties has been brought to the Ministry of Finance with no purpose. This has been done so that parliamentarians can smuggle ethanol into our country as they please. During his tenure, income generated was 123 billion rupees, and the income generated at present is only 104 billion rupees.
ඔව් ඉන්න කාලේ බිලියන 123යි ආදායම දැන් ආදායම 104යි.
මේක නිකම්ම නිකන් ණය මත පදනම් වෙච්ච අයයක්.
This is a budget that is based on nothing but debt. This budget aims to privatizing and selling all assets. The finance minister aims at privatizing the port, airport and even public toilets.
මේ අයවෙන් යෝජනා කරන්න කියන එකයි අපේ විශ්වාසය.
මත් වතුර සහ දුම්කොළ ආශ්‍රිත ප්‍රශ්න.
I remember in 2013, when President Sirisena was the Minister of Health, problems relating to alcohol and tobacco were discussed during the budget debate. When tobacco packaging warning pictures were to be printed, the Supreme Court obstructed the decision. However, subsequently, we were able to implement the decision. At present, 80% of cigarette boxes is covered with pictorial warnings. 20,000 people die every year due to smoking. When this figure is divided by 365 days, 55 die on a daily basis. Even during the war, only 35 to 45 people were killed daily. So which is more dangerous, tobacco manufacturing companies or the LTTE? I am not trying to label tobacco manufacturing companies as terrorists. What I am trying to say is that there has been progress. The government has decided to completely stop tobacco cultivation by 2020.
අගමැතිතුමත් සමස්ත ආණ්ඩුව තීරණය කරන් තියෙනවා 20 29 දුම්කොළ වගාවෙන් රජය අයින් වෙන ක්‍රියාමාර්ගයකට.
MP Susil Premajantha expressed these views during the budget debate held in Parliament today.
When the Minister of Finance brought this forward, he said this is a ticking bomb handed over by the past government in 2015, and he managed to handle it without letting the bomb explode. When did the first bomb explode? The government changed on the 8th of January 2015, and on the 27th of February, the next bomb of the central bank exploded. We are now facing the consequences of that time bomb. We will continue to go through this for another 25 to 30 years. Until a forensic audit is done, the loss of trillions is a result of a time bomb which exploded on the 27th of February. Who brought down Arjuna Mahendran from Singapore to detonate that bomb? Who provided advice? Who guided him and aided him? The interest rates of bank loans, which stood at single figures at our time of power, has changed to double figures. If an overdraft is taken, the interest rate is more than 24% if a loan is taken. Interest rates stand at 19, 20 and 21%. I question the government on how many job opportunities were created. How many projects such as Gamperaliya was launched? We overturned villages in our time of power. Now there is no need of doing so. It's already done. Now the people are waiting to overturn. They said they will offer scholarships for 14 students at MIT. MIT won't accept students for the sake of us sending them. They have a placement test. They have their own evaluating methods. They are merely lullabies for our politicians. Those accused of using cocaine should leave this place. Those involved in the bond scam are also members of the COPE committee. We ask you to hold a general election to let these people pick the correct public representatives by omitting these thieves.
The complete speech made by parliamentarian Susi Premajantha will be broadcasted on Monday at 10:30 p.m. on our sister channel Sirasa TV. Meanwhile, opposition leader Mahinda Rajapaksa arrived at the Temple of Truth Relic today.
After worshipping the Tooth Relic, the opposition leader responded to questions raised by journalists.
No, he is an old man, so it doesn't matter. Ranil need votes as well. If that kind of treatment is not provided, the government will have to go home.
Parliamentarian Bandula Gunawardena expressed his views during a media briefing convened by the opposition leaders' media unit in Colombo yesterday.
A minister in the parliament receives certain benefits which the other 224 parliamentarians do not receive. He also receives the Prime Minister's residence, a land area of 1.5 acres, a staff of 5 including all maintenance cost. A fuel allowance of 600 litres is also given. Though the government budget is using money of taxpayers of the country, when Minister Sambandhan receives such benefits, the war heroes who brought peace to the nation are facing an era that the payment of compensation from property is being decided. It's in such a time Minister Sambandhan receives such benefits. The question is, why is only Sambandhan receiving such benefits? It's never fair that only Sambandhan receives such benefits. You cannot justify this as something done for reconciliation, as the UMP is not in the majority and this budget cannot be passed. It is a gift that is given by the government as a ransom. That is what we think.
President Maithripala Sirisena said that the Sri Lanka police and the Tri-Forces will be actively engaged in the drug eradication and control program from April onwards. This statement was made at a meeting held with the governors at the Presidential Secretariat.
In line with the drug eradication and control program, an oath is scheduled to be taken on the 3rd of April at all workplaces, with the main event taking place at the Independence Square in Colombo.
The drugs and the underworld have created a different government in this country. Bribes are not only taken from rich people. The bribe penance is prevalent everywhere in this country. Buses coming from afar from the north, east and south have to pay bribes on the way. This shows that there is no law and order prevalent in this country. There are so many questions regarding the burdens the people in this country are facing.
The President further stated that he has decided to personally get involved with the workings of the ministries.
With effect 7th of March 2019, President Maithripala Sirisena has moved several government institutions under the respective ministries.
Telecommunication Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka is now under the Ministry of Defence. Sri Lankan Airlines Limited and its subsidiaries are now under the Ministry of Finance. Ranmihitanna Mahinda Rajapaksa National Telecinema Park is now under the Ministry of Housing, Construction and Cultural Affairs. It was previously under the Ministry of Finance and Mass Media. The Sri Lanka Telecom and its subsidiaries and associates are under the Ministry of Telecommunication, Foreign Employment and Sports.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka returned to the USD bond market successfully, pricing a new issuance of the $1 billion US 5-year and $1.4 billion 10-year senior unsecured fixed rate bonds with maturity dates of March 14, 2024 and March 14, 2029 respectively.
The bonds have been rated B2, B and B by Moody's Investors Service, Standard & Poor's and Fitch Ratings respectively. The release added that the transaction saw strong interest from a wide range of high-quality investors, which allowed Sri Lanka to tighten final price guidance to 6.90% on a 5-year tranche and 7.9% on a 10-year tranche. However, financial experts allege that when compared with other countries, Sri Lanka is obliged to raise debt at such interest rates from leading international buyers due to the central bank bond scam that took place 4 years ago. At present, the effective interest rates in the US market is approximately 2 to 8%. Each country is given a certain limit when raising debt. Based on the current limit and ratings of Sri Lanka, our country falls under the B category. When a country plans to raise debt, potential buyers and investors consider ratings and limits prior to their investment. The international community with no doubt considered the central bank bond scam as well as other incidences that unfolded subsequently. And the prevailing situation in our country, not only did the central bank bond scam take place, the manner in which the government suppressed the scam from the law will make potential investors and buyers think twice prior to investing in our country. On the 7th of March, international sovereign bonds worth $2.4 billion was issued in the US bond market at very high interest rates with maturity periods of 5 and 10 years. The interest rate of some bonds are 7.2%, while some bonds have an interest rate of 8.2%. Even during the war or when our country was facing a severe economic crisis, debt was never obtained from international markets at interest rates as high as 8.2%. Therefore, we warn the government. Raising commercial debt at such high interest rates in the international market creates a doubt among us as to what will be the fate of our country. Meanwhile, Thailand trade 10-year bonds at 2.51%, while Vietnam at 4.78%, Greece at 3.84%, Malaysia at 3.87%, and Botswana at 5.27%.
The annual budget seminar organized by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka was held in Colombo this morning.
I think one of the most important initiatives that are not spoken about but is afoot is about having a professional debt management office for the country. Managing debt, or not the quantity of debt only, but the cost of debt is probably one of the most critical professional activities of public finance management today, and it needs the kind of professional attention that doesn't leave room for things like bond scandals. What the bond scandal tells us is not only about corruption, but that the system of debt management needs serious repair, attention, and professionalization. The United States, the UK, all have debt to GDP ratios not very different from Sri Lanka. The difference is that they are borrowing at 2% in terms of interest rate as the cost of their debt, whereas Sri Lanka is paying around 6.5% and above. You remember times when there were campaigns to say, let's spend 6% of GDP for education, and everybody balked at that number because 6% of GDP is a very large percentage of expenditure.
Senior lecturer of the University of Colombo, Dr. Priyanga Dunasinghe, also spoke about debt management in Sri Lanka.
We have been having a debt management unit at the central bank. Even having that debt management unit, this bond scam took place. That reflects the fact that debt management unit per se is not responsible for this bond scam. I think we saw that the political authorities as well as the other high officials involved directly in this transaction. So I think the main reason behind this bond scam is political involvement.
Speaking on our Newsline program, UPSA MP Vidura Wickramanayake expressed grave concern on two matters of national importance.
We become politicians, or for that matter, members of the parliament, the representatives of the parliament, right, of the people. Mind you, we are the servants of the people, servants of the people. We serve, and if and only if. Now, what happened at the COPE with this bond scam issue? Yeah, lot of members, some of the members, I should say most of them, were in talking terms with the accused. Yeah, and they were safeguarding their own interest as well as their interest. What is their own interest? They would have been in the payroll of these people, or maybe they have indirectly financed them. Indirectly or indirectly, they have financed. These are the issues. That is what I am saying. We should not hold a single share for that matter. Make it public so that you all can judge how did he or she started and where he or she is now.
The MP also spoke about the budget 2019.
Very few words. It is a festival of numbers. It's a very boyish document, I should say. Right. And so for us, let's see, has it been taken into consideration the fiscal policies or the economic reforms that we have to turn this country, transform this country to align with the future? What is the contribution of this budget on that aspect? I don't see that, because the primary producers has been left in the dark. For an example, agriculture, plantations, and also fisheries, the small and medium scale industries. So these are the small wheels that drive the bigger wheel of the economy. Unless we oil this well, the small wheels, we won't be able to turn the bigger wheels. That is what has happened for the past couple of years. We have to understand this is the ground reality. So we are just a nation who is importing from another country and selling it to our own people. We are just mere brokers.
අධිවේගී මාර්ග ප්‍රශ්නේ වාරි මාර්ග ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ දැන්. දැන් අපිට තියෙන ආහාර මාර්ග ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ දැන්.
That was a farmer in Namal Oya, Ampada. These farmers belonging to two villages of the Namal Oya project in Ampada are facing severe difficulties due to the inability to provide water to their crops.
Voice of the people. News from across the nation, reported by Newsfirst regional correspondents.
The means of income of the villagers of Namaloya in the Ampara district solely depend on agriculture. Over 5,000 acres of paddy fields are cultivated using the water from the Namaloya. However, the farmers of the 2B and the 3B sectors are facing severe difficulties due to the lack of proper water supply. Over 400 acres of paddy fields have been destroyed due to the lack of proper water supply.
All the crops have died. Previously, it was a very prosperous field. Look at the tragedy that has befallen. The crops have all gotten destroyed. We do not require highways. We require means of survival. Our issue is how to make a living to provide ourselves with food. It has been destroyed. They don't talk about these. They only talk about premiership or the next presidential election or the expressways. I should clearly say that they are unable to provide proper management of water. Not a single canal has been renovated. There is no plan. Project is unsuccessful. These crops do not receive water. The water it is receiving is not sufficient.
In the face of all these obstacles, these farmers are burdened with paying back the loans that were taken to cultivate these crops.
From this point on, all the crops are dead. Only the husks remain.
When Newsfirst inquired the irrigation engineer of Ampara in this regard, he had something different to say on this matter.
Such an incident was not informed to me. It is almost a season for harvesting. If someone is asking for water this late, it means that they sowed late and hoped for harvest later. Yesterday, a meeting before the season was held. No request was made for the provision of water. If such a request was made, we could have provided water together with the approval of a trade committee.
Voice of the people.
Welcome back to the news. TNA parliamentarian M.A. Sumanthiram expressed the following views during an event held in the Chavkacheri area in Jaffna.
When I spoke positively on the budget, some say that MP Sumandiran's statements made the previous day were contrasting from what was said today and not sure what I will say tomorrow. We revealed the anomalies of the budget through a statement issued on the 22nd of last month. I even spoke in Parliament in this regard. During my speech in Parliament, I urged the government to address and minimize such anomalies. The budget proposal that was presented afterwards was what we appreciated. I am not sure whether this fact was not understood by certain media institutions. I criticized the budget the other day and welcomed it the next day. This is what media institutions reported about. It is this media institution that reported news in such a manner, not other media institutions. Maybe they lack the understanding. So if they require further understanding, it can clearly be obtained. 24 hours prior to the budget being presented in Parliament, TNA MP M.A. Sumandiran, speaking to the Lanka Deeper newspaper, said that the budget has transformed into a game where the income is inflated and expenses are portrayed to be less than what they really are. The MP said that this game has been going on for a long time now and added that actual figures are not being revealed to the country or the general public. Sumandiran concluded that based on the differences between reported data and reality, he believes that the economic crisis Sri Lanka is facing is far worse than expected. TNA MP M.A. Sumandiran's stance on the budget has watered down merely 48 hours after his initial newspaper interview.
Our general reaction to the budget is positive in that we think this is a responsible budget given the constraints, the economic constraints that the government and the country is facing at present. We are thankful that a special fund called the Palmyra Fund has been established. This is something that we have been asking for a long time, and that war affected areas in the north and east, unfortunately we haven't had much cooperation. Yesterday we had a meeting, and I must say the attitude has changed. After we went public, the attitude has changed, and now they seem to be cooperating a little. The minister gives it in economic format, whilst the budget estimates are in an accounting format, and you can't compare the two easily. And eventually what is adopted is something totally different. And fourth, what is implemented invariably has nothing to do with either the budget estimates or what the Minister of Finance presents as budget proposals or the finalized figures, but it is something totally different. Our fear is that in implementation we won't even reach 20%. So we have several measures that the minister announced for which there is no provision in the Appropriation Act or even in the budget estimates.
The Minister of National Integration, Official Languages, Social Progress and Hindu Religious Affairs, Mano Ganeshan, expressed the following views on the 2019 budget and about the estate workers following an event held in Colombo today.
There would definitely be a 50 rupee increase in the wage of an estate worker. Be patient. The budget was read out only a few days ago. Give us some time. How can we make a budget proposal? It is not possible. The government can increase salaries of the government servants, but these estate workers do not work in government estates. They work for private companies. For the first time during the government budget reading, the Minister of Finance addressed the estate workers' wage problem. We will hold further discussions on this. There is no problem here. He has his own meaning when he says, quote-unquote, I will consider. Neither me nor Minister Mangala Samaravira is the government. We are merely part of the government. Minister Mangala and I are equal in status. He is the minister and so am I. I am also a cabinet minister. Wait till the 5th of April.
Meanwhile, Minister P. Digambaran expressed the following views on the estate workers' wage issue in Parliament today.
People who do not know the estate workers are now commenting on the wage of the estate workers. I would like to tell them that we will definitely give the estate workers the 50 rupees that we promised. There is no need for any commotion.
However, these politicians voiced a different perspective about the estate workers' issue. They said that they have taken steps to ensure that the estate workers will receive a wage of 1,000 rupees.
The first time that we proposed that the estate workers' wages be increased to 1,000 rupees, the value of the dollar was 133 rupees. Today, the value of the dollar is 183 rupees. So therefore, it is possible that the wage can now be increased to 1,000 rupees. Tea is an export good. When the dollar value increases, they can benefit from this. They can very easily earn 1,000 rupees. I told them that if they give 1,000 rupees, we will support them. If we cannot take this by the 30th of this month, I will resign from my parliamentary post. Thunderman says that we are the reason for the 1,000 rupees because it cannot be given. We have taken a decision to support your protest. You have our support from today onwards. We will somehow get that 1,000 rupees.
However, the politicians now say that an additional amount of only 50 rupees will be provided. Will the estate workers obtain the 1,000 rupees that they demanded by adding this 50 rupees that you are now promising to give to the 750 rupees that they are already receiving?
We leave you tonight with the CCTV footage of the explosion that took place at a shop in Kolpiti yesterday. With that, we wrap up this edition of Primetime News. I'm Zeenat Musafir.
Whoa.